and rare things that, a phenomenon that's happened recently, which is these small little Chinese EV companies suddenly exploding and then becoming some of the world's best. But before I get into it to, kind of cover everything here, I'm going over a brief history, what's going on, companies. But before we do that, we have to meet the players. So let's talk about the three biggest one. The biggest one by far is BYD. Now, this is in the US. In China, there are very different vehicles, but BYD is essentially build your dreams. Fun fact, here, I'll put it on the screen. I actually have a pack of masks from 2020 that I bought from BYD, and yes, in fact, it is the same company that makes these EVs. Now, BYD is actually currently, as of now, outselling Tesla, which is just absolutely nuts to think about. Now, this is globally, not in the US, and we'll get to that, why that is later. Another big player is GAC/ANY/ a bunch of companies. It's a very weird name. It's referred to several different things, mainly just GAC, which is, of course, that weird, 90s thing. Anyway, that Nickelodeon GAC. I mean, it's pretty interesting, but hey, it's foreign. And they make kind of these type cars, which is, aiming to be functional. Some of them are fun, some of them not really. And the last biggest one is Geely. Geely owns Volvo. Geely is a lot like Volvo. I mean, you can see this here, luxury car brand, luxury EVs. That's kind of what Geely's trying to do. Now, Geely is also thinking I'm doing a pretty good job. Like I said, they do make other non-cars. This is just Chinese companies, also EV ones. So Geely already makes a ton of models, as you can see here. But they're starting to get into EVs. And since Geely is one of the bigger, if not the biggest Chinese, car company, actual car company, it's crazy to think that they're, gonna, try and enter the U.S. market and come up with EVs, so they're definitely one of the biggest players here, right? Because it's hard to find statistics on just Chinese EV car companies, because it's kind of like trying to define what cyan is versus blue. The results get mixed in with Chinese, and you have to do a bunch of research. There's also a bunch of other companies. You have, NIO, and then whatever that is, and then whatever that is. NIO, Li Auto, Xpeng, MG, and Aura are all other competitors. I'm not really going to talk about these today, just because, really? Do you want me to do that much research? Do you really want me to? So, in the US, if you're trying to think of one of these companies, especially more like BYD or GAC, then you might think of something like Tesla, which is, of course, what these brands are trying to do. So, another interesting thing, we all know Chinese as being knockoffs. Whenever we think of a knockoff, we instantly think that it, is Chinese. So why would they choose to knock off one of the most complicated cars ever? Why wouldn't they go for something more like, one of our, shit boxes, like a Hyundai or something, right? Why are they going after our EVs? Why are they making these EVs? When, like I said, they're just so busy. There's just so much stuff going on. Well, part one is, the technology is just new, and, a lot of these new technologies, like BMS modules, batteries, stuff like that, they're all made in China, right? We know that China, for better or for worse, a lot of things are made in China. Now, China's build quality can vary. There are some really, really great artisan things that come out of China, and then there's just your, BYD face masks that are just thrown together. A few of them didn't even work, and I just kept the box one day because I knew they were kind of an EV company around that time, around 2020. Just hearing about this in the news, I figured I'd keep it as a fun little thing. And now you know about that too. So, yeah. So, a lot of these components now, they're just made in China, right? That's how they're making them. With an exception of Tesla, some of their parts in their cars are made in China. These new EV parts, remember, every single company wants these, are made in China. So it makes sense that they would start making their own EVs. Also, a lot of people like to think that EVs are so complex, right? I mean, look at this. This is so complex. Imagine if this was a gas car, you'd have an engine, a transmission, a differential, all of that. So the two in complexity, I would say, are rather the same. Less mechanical on the EV side, more mechanical. It's just of different things. Of course, we all know that things built in China are worse with mechanical things and better with electronical things because they figured out how to do that really cheap. So that's why a lot of these BMS modules, cheap ones, are seen, made in China. So what's the other reason why they would, knock off something more just, what I would say, advanced than something, like one of our shit boxes? Well, another thing is they already kind of have. I'm sure all of you have seen one of these videos. I did one of the videos on this. Just these knockoff things like the Land Wing and the, whatever that is, they love to do this. They've been doing this forever. You know, they already kind of have. So it's not like they're not knocking off our vehicles. They've been doing that for years now, right? They're just more switching to EVs, and this is the first time it's gotten big, right? You've never seen a Landwing in your neighbor's, you know, garage or lawn or something, but you're more likely to see a BYD than a Landwing, simply because these knockoffs are not trying to aim for the US. So, moving on, you know, like I said, they're just all not that common. You know, none of my, you know, neighbors in Florida don't drive EVs. I mean, drive EVs. So, let's move on. Why aren't Chinese EVs kicking off in the US? I know the news likes to talk about how they're going to, like, come in and they're going to invade us, and we're like, oh, what happened, and all that crap. But you have to admit, when's the last time you've seen a BYD and not gone to a non-existent dealership? Well, simply put, it's because of the world. Essentially, China's right here. The US and Canada, which is big markets, as well as the UK and Australia, you know, those are kind of like the biggest. Russia's just kind of sucking right now, which is unfortunate. These areas right here are just kind of like where you want to sell them, right? That's why Tesla's been so, you know, quick and successful, because that's where, you know, you want to be selling vehicles. People are willing to pay more of them. People are willing to pay more for them. You know, there's a lot of people in China, but oftentimes they don't have enough money to buy one of these big, gigantic, you know, BYDs and put that in their front lawn. They're more likely buying like a Toyota Wish or something like that. So, yeah. And also another thing, the US and most of these countries just hate, you know, it's very hard to import a car from another country, especially a new car, and then sell it here. A lot of it, I wouldn't say this is because the US's side, there's not like a 10-year-old year ban or anything on that if you're a foreign car company producing your cars foreignly. They do taxes, regulations, stuff like that, of course. But another thing is just, you know, getting the cars from here to here efficiently without spending too much money and bankrupting yourself. So, Chinese EVs, that's mainly why they've just stayed more over here. A little bit in, you know, around this area, you know, United Kingdom, Spain, France, you know, those big things. A little bit over there, but still, they really haven't spread out of China, you know, in smaller countries like that. Another thing, Americans just like their cars. Another example of how, you know, you can think about this. It took Americans such a long time to abandon their American shitboxes for rice burner Japanese cars. It took several different recessions, gas price spikes, oil spikes, for them to even consider one of these. And another reason, which is our last reason, which is the last thing we're going to cover today, is the reputation that they have. The EV companies like VinFast, which has been here forever, they've already kind of shown Americans what EVs are, right? When Americans are skeptical, more skeptical than other people, right? When they see a Ford, they think, man, that's reliable. When they see a Toyota, at least in the 70s, they thought, no, it's new, it's the first generation of something, I don't want to buy that. Or more simply, I don't want that car because it's not made here, right? That's still an issue nowadays, but less of an issue as people are more open-minded, and regular U.S., you know, big Fords are getting more expensive, and people want to get, you know, pay less for gas and stuff like that. But it's simply just because the EVs that have already existed in the US suck. I'm sure we've all seen the donut video. I may have issues with donuts as a company. That doesn't mean that I don't watch their videos. They're as entertaining as hell. And I think we've all seen how much they really suck. The rattling, the turn signal, the stupid, like, takeover thing that rips the steering wheel out of your hands. We've all seen that these cars just suck. The ones that are already here, at least, right? Now, I think BYD, GAC, and Geely are all things that we have to worry about. But I don't think it's gonna see it come over to the US anytime soon. So with that, thank you for watching. Well, not come to the US, but be like part of our daily lives and be an actual consideration for American citizens. So with that, thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you guys real soon.